people. And then they started looking at me like you're looking at me tonight. We're at an interesting point in our history in Connecticut, and an interesting point as we look at 2010. We have to think about what we want the slate to look like, and what is it going to take to actually win back the governor's bench. I offer you the following. Please don't choose me just because of my name, but see as a benefit where I come from and how that can impact upon the ticket. I am, I think, uniquely capable of going into a community like Glastonbury and the most urban community in Connecticut equally and speak to the language and experience of people. And so who is it going to be that is ultimately going to help Democrats win in 2010? I don't know, but I think that I can be effective toward that end. And if that's something that we care about, then I sincerely hope you'll choose me to be part of that ticket. In closing, by the way, I also want to say, I'm also a small business owner. And I'm not here to pass around a drum and sing Kumbaya. We have a real challenge. We challenge our small businesses in Connecticut to succeed. And people like Tony Avalon from the National Commission, or Rosa DeLauro, whose ear I have, tell me about how they want to get information distributed to small businesses so that people like me, people like you, other young people in the state don't have to do what I did, leave the state, and find a way to come back. And part of the way we get there is by supporting our small businesses. So how do we do that? Well, one way that the Secretary of the State could and should is by providing actionable, timely information to their small businesses. There's not a single spot where small businesses get their information right now. It's dispersed among a number of different departments, and the logical place for it all to go is the Secretary of the State's office. There's one more responsibility that I'd like to talk with you about that I'd like to see the Secretary of the State handle. And that is, I mentioned before that I went to New York for a while. I didn't mention that, for the grace of God, I get to talk with you because of corporate cost cutting. Who would think a Democrat would be grateful for corporate cost cutting? I am. It saved my life. 9/11 was primary day in New Haven. It was the first day that I hadn't run for office. I moved to New York and accepted a position there. It was also, I was also in training for 6 months on the top floor of the North Tower, from which nobody survived. The Friday before that fateful day, space opened up at my bank across the street. And my bank said, we don't want to pay the exorbitant amount of money to have you guys in the posh conference center at the top floor of the North Tower. So, we didn't go. And as somebody for whom the attacks are deeply personal, because I saw them with my own 2 eyes, what I would like to see the Secretary of the State's office do is take responsibility to ensure that our men and women in uniform have their right to vote protected, that we work with the Joint Chiefs of Staff and identify each and every Connecticut man and woman who is in the service, serving domestically or abroad, and send them their ballots, rather than having it be the disorganized process it is. Because for them to be fighting for our democracy wherever they are, they deserve our protection of their access to the democracy too. With that, I thank you for your ears and your eyes. I would welcome your support. One last little point. Not a little point, a pretty important one. I'm the only candidate for any constitutional office so far to have opted into the Citizens Elections Program. I'm the only one. It's not rocket science. It's a form. You fill out the form, you submit it. It's not a pledge. It is a commitment. I'm accepting no contribution over $100. I'm accepting no special interest, and no PAC money. I hear a lot of people running for office talk talking about participating in the program, applauding the program, indicating that they will participate in the program. I want you to know I have a candidate committee. I never had an exploratory committee. I'm running for Secretary of the State. I'm playing by the rules. I'm going to prove that the Citizens Elections Program can work with your help, because I do need you. If you were inspired at all by what I have said, I've handed out cards. You can contribute online in $5 to $100 increments, and I'd be honored to have both your financial support and your delegate support at the convention. With that, I thank you for your attention, and I'd love to hear your questions if you have. And you can clap, it's okay. It's a couple people. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here, I'm going to get beaten up. Yes?
No. So this is an information question about elections, not jobs. But one of the problems we have in Connecticut is getting information necessary to verify election results. So the election results posted on the Secretary of State's website are summary information. They've proven to be inaccurate, as much as 10,000 votes in one town a year ago. And one solution would be to actually propose to put up district by district results on the Secretary of State's website, and then fax copies of machine tapes and moderators' reports, so that with no cost to the state, citizens could actually verify that the election results as accumulated were accurate. And I guess I just mentioned that the way they're accumulated now is a three-step transcription manual addition approach, starting with late night in the polling place, but ending in the back room of the Secretary of State's office. So I'd ask you if you'd consider that.
Yes. I know. Ladies and gentlemen, Luther Weeks. The Secretary of the State's office really needs an overhaul. When you go to the website, as some of you may have, it's not user-friendly. The information's incomplete. I mean, I'm of a different generation. I'm of a generation that expects to have at my fingertips information and expects to be able to distribute it accurately online in as close to real time as a system can offer. So yes, I would really like to see the overhaul of the reporting.
Great.
Sir.
One comment, one question. Comment-wise, you and I spoke on Tompio, state rep for Glastonbury. Last session, I tried to do some things to benefit small businesses, and one of the things that was brought to my attention is that small businesses can be swamped with filing forms, getting forms, knowing where to file on that, and it seems in this electronic age that